Hi, and thanks for watching. In this video, I wanted to cover 3 tips and 5 principles for Qigong practice. Now, this is principles and tips for all Qigong practice, but for this video, I want to focus a little bit on a standing practice, standing Qigong practices, the posture training. So what I would like to do is first talk about what these 3 tips are, what the 5 principles are, and then we'll do a very short standing posture practice at the end of the video. So, first thing is our 3 tips. First 2 tips. One is to set the weight towards the heels. Second is to relax the hips. These are sort of paired as tips because if you set the weight towards the heels but don't relax the hips, you're going to feel like you're going to fall backwards. At the same time, if you keep your weight towards the front of your feet and relax your hips, you're going to tilt your pelvis and arch your back. Neither of these are very conducive to a proper Qigong practice. If we do both of these things at the same time, relax the hips while we set our weight back towards the heels, then we find an alignment that sets the weight through the center of the hips and down through the center of the ankles, allowing the weight to settle down into the floor and support us. Right? The third tip, which is sort of 2 that are combined, but it's all about the neck, shoulders, and upper back, is to lift the torso and roll the shoulder blades down. Part of the reason for this advice is because there's a tendency from texting and computers and driving, etc., for the shoulders to tighten, the neck to crane forward, and tension to show up at the back of the neck. And so to try and correct this, to try and ease the body into a different holding pattern, is this idea to lift the torso and roll the shoulder blades back. This is a little bit different than thrusting out the chest, right? That just raises the center of gravity and creates tension through the upper back. And this is quite a different idea, allowing the center of gravity to set down for the musculature to relax through the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the upper back. And it's more about finding the support from the lower abdomen and encouraging that to lift up from there to hold the body more into alignment. So those 3 bits of advice to find the alignment. This is not only for standing postures, but even when we're doing moving Qigong, we need to be able to find this way to arrange the body to stand. And that is first from the feet, setting the weight more towards the heels while relaxing the hips. And then the other for the upper body is to lift through the torso and roll the shoulder blades back and down. So the 5 principles, they're all Chinese characters or Chinese terms. I should mention that there's more than just these 5 principles in relation to Qigong practice, but I wanted to highlight these 5 because of their relevance and importance for standing Qigong or posture training. We'll go through them one by one. The first one is zheng. Zheng means to be upright, right? To hold the body in the proper alignment. This is not only just the physical positioning of the body, which of course we were talking about with those 3 tips, but also in terms of our attitude and our bearing. It should be one that is upright, not distracted, focused on our practice. And so that is zheng, being upright. The second is jing, means stillness, right? We should cultivate stillness. This is a little bit different than simply holding our posture stock still while we're doing our Qigong practice. If we try and constrain ourselves and limit movement, then it actually introduces tension into the body and can get the mind to speed up, which is the opposite of what we want. And so it's a process of cultivating stillness. In a practical sense, it means that when we're holding a posture, allowing ourselves to shift and adjust, to settle into the posture as we go from one training session to the next, to the next, to the next. Same with our mind. It's a cultivating of the stillness that is the important part of that concept. Third is song, being relaxed. Relax doesn't mean everything falls and loosens and slumps forward. It's about trying to find a way to hold a posture and holding the posture but taking the tension out of it. We want to have it so that the posture feels expanded rather than held. Song. Then fourth is Xi. Xi means breath. So of course, focusing on our breath. Breath work is important for Qigong practice, but it also has an additional meaning, an additional layer of meaning, which is to draw in. So it's this idea of drawing in the qi, of cultivating the qi, that is also part of this concept, of this principle. And then lastly is Kong, emptiness. Right? We want to empty our mind of preconceived notions of what should happen, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. We also want, on the physical level, to be creating space. Right? We want, I mentioned before, this expanded feeling. And the expanded feeling counters, if we hold a posture and we're tense, it tends to close the channels, to constrain the channels, constrain the mind. And that's the opposite of what we want. We want something where everything is expanded. And in finding this expanded position with our posture, we create space which allows the qi to collect. So those 5 principles, upright and still, relaxed, drawing in, and creating space or emptiness. These are the 5 principles that are useful to keep in mind when we're doing a Qigong practice. Any Qigong practice, but in particular, standing Qigong practice. And of course, with a standing Qigong practice, there's many different versions of it. What we can look at now is standing, the one that is the easiest, the one that offers the least amount of strain. Anyone who has shoulder problems or neck problems, is still possible to do the mountain posture standing practice, and so we'll briefly look at that. To start, we'll do a gathering in or a natural respiration posture 3 times, the movement opening the arms out, lifting the hands up. And then we lower our arms, palms facing down in front of the body, gradually returning them to our sides. Rolling the hands out, opening across the chest, lifting up, and then relax the shoulders, gather in, lower the elbows, and just allow the hands to follow through. And a 3rd time, same motion, breathing in. And as we lower our arms, breathing out. For the mountain posture, we have our hands at our sides. We set our weight back towards our heels, lowering our center of gravity, relaxing the hips, relax the low back. Lift the torso up and roll the shoulder blades down. Move the elbows just a little bit away from the body and have the palms so they're facing down. Fingers are open, separated, but relaxed. And then focusing on our breath, turning our intent inwards. Finding the alignment that holds the body upright. Cultivating a stillness, allowing ourselves to settle into the posture. Relaxing into the posture, finding areas where there might be excess tension and encouraging that excess tension to let go. Focusing on our breath, drawing in. And lastly, creating an expanded, open feeling, clearing the mind of expectations and judgments. Very good. Drawing our feet side by side and close. Excellent. When we're doing a standing practice, my general advice, especially at the beginning, is not to aim for extended periods of posture holding. At the beginning, it's very much a process of working out the kinks, as it were, in our practice. So until we become aware of how we hold tension in, say, our shoulder, or our jaw, or hips, or diaphragm, then to try and do an extended practice without becoming aware of these things first only reinforces some of these bad holding patterns. And so my general advice is to start a standing Qigong practice with short periods of time, working on these principles, working on these 3 tips, and then only from there, when you have a sense that things are adjusting and changing and shifting, and then work towards from, say, 30 seconds to 1 minute to 20 minutes, not jumping from 1 minute to 20 minutes, 1 minute, a minute and a half, so on and so forth, gradually working your way up to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, so on and so forth. But at the beginning, first working on finding how to apply these principles first before taking on extended practice of a standing posture. And again, one last reminder that these same 3 tips and principles equally apply to moving Qigong practices. And so finding them and applying them in those postures and those trainings is also equally important. So thank you for watching. Keep training, keep practicing, and take care.